I think we should be very careful of the narcissism of small differences here. The differences were small. But I did have a stronger concern, I would say, than some, that the biggest impacts of everything we did, and I was confident we were going to have to do them, to be clear, but when we started, the disadvantages of all the actions, not just full lockdown, but other actions before that, for example, what was initially called cocooning and then shielding, as an example, stopping schooling is another. The biggest impacts of those would be in areas of deprivation and those in difficulties and those living alone and so on. So I was very aware that we essentially had two different things we were trying to balance. The risk of going too early, in which case you get all the damages from this with actually fairly minimal impact on the epidemic, and the risk of going too late, in which case you get all the problems of the pandemic running away. Now, as we will, I'm sure, come on to, my view is, with the benefit of hindsight, we went a bit too late on the first wave, and I've been very clear about that for some time. We can come on to the reasons for that. But the idea that there was not some tension between those two and that you could somehow go without cost earlier than was needed, I think was incorrect. And again, everyone around the SAGE table would have agreed with that position. The degree of weighting, I'm talking here in terms of putting weight rather than weight as in time, between those two inevitably varied a bit between people, and I was probably further towards let's think through the disadvantages here before we act, and also in making sure that in giving my advice that ministers were aware of both sides of the equation.